What is going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to walk you through the top 10 worst mistakes that you should absolutely need to avoid in Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. This game is massive, beautiful and brutal, and trust me, making the worst decisions early on can sometimes bite you back hours later. If you're a new player just diving in or someone who's already put dozens of hours, then this video will help you stay on the track, save time and avoid some frustrating pitfalls. So let's get right into it. Also, if you're interested in buying other PC or console games with 50 or 70% discount, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, then input our details and pay. After payment is complete, we will receive activation key, then copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. So what are you waiting for? Click my link description and check out Instant Gaming for yourself. Mistake number 1 is exploring too early without letting the questline guide you. Tainted Grail has a huge open world, and the urge to run off in all directions is real. I get it, that's exactly what I did. But here's the problem: when you go off script and start clearing the areas before the story sends you there, you'll just have to do it again. Enemy camps, monsters and hostile zones will respawn when they're tied to a quest. So for example, I explored a ruined village, wiped out all the enemies and looted the place. But a few hours later I had the main quest that sent me back there. And surprise, everything had respawned, and I had to fight the same mobs all over again. Not only did I waste time, but also lost out on meaningful XP and rewards that are better earned with the quests. So unless you're intentionally grinding or just exploring for fun, then let the main quest or the side quests guide you through the route. You'll progress more efficiently, and the world will feel more cohesive instead of repetitive. For my next mistake, we have that players are upgrading gear too early and wasting resources at the grindstone. The grindstone is one of the most important tools in Tainted Grail, but only if you use it wisely. You've got 9 gear slots, so the helmet, totem, gauntlets, armor, necklace, ring of toughness, greaves, a regular ring and the boots. Every piece has a weight, and stacking heavy gear without planning will ruin your movement and the stamina regen. A lot of players will rush to upgrade their gear or reduce weight as soon as they get access to the grindstone, but don't do it. It's a waste of gold and rare materials in the early game when your gear is constantly changing. Armor weight reduction only shaves off about 0.5 weight per piece and will cost a decent chunk of cash. This can add up fast, especially if you're doing it on items that you will replace in an hour. You also got handcrafting, which lets you build weapons and armor by using food recipes. But again, don't bother until you found solid blueprints and reached about level 20+. The early game crafting gear is weak, and you will find better stuff in the vault or from the quests. Relic socketing is another cool feature. Each gear piece can hold relics for stat boosts, but again, save those for high tier equipment. Early relics are often underwhelming, and wasting sockets on junk gear is like installing a car mod on a rental. So the bottom line here, be patient. Focus on saving gold, gathering resources and building your ideal loadout first. And once your build is stable, then you can start investing into the grindstone upgrades. Mistake number 3. Collecting stolen items that you can't sell or use. So let's talk about theft. Yes, it's possible to steal from NPCs, loot restricted areas or even kill characters to take their gear. But most of the time it's not worth it. Items marked as stolen can be sold to regular merchants. Even worse, equipping stolen gear can trigger suspicion from the guards or certain NPCs, especially if you're wearing a full set from someone you just murdered. There's a situation where you will find incredible armor on NPCs that you could have made peace with but chose to kill instead. So you may ask, what is the problem? Well, the loot is now stolen, and even though it might be an upgrade, you're stuck with it. You can't sell it, and keeping stolen gear will clutter your inventory. So here's what I recommended. If it's a clear upgrade, go ahead and equip it. But if not, then ditch it immediately. Don't let it take up space, and don't get greedy. Killing or stealing for gear can backfire and alter your storylines or the quest availability. You're better off earning gear the right way through the quests, shops and crafting, rather than turning into a hoarder of loot that you can't even use properly. Mistake number 4. Ignoring the stash system. This one is huge. Your stash is your lifeline in Tainted Grail. It has no weight limit, and you can access it in almost every shop and the main cities in the game. Not using it is like playing on a hard mode for no reason. Personally, I use the stash to hold potions and buffs I might need later, then also rare or expensive materials I don't want to carry, and even extra gear for different builds. The stash also lets you sell directly from the storage when talking to the merchant, so if you're low on money, then just hit up a shop, switch to your stash tab and offload whatever you're not using. And this way you won't have to backtrack all the way to the Horns of the South. Also, if you find unique gear that you are not ready but don't want to lose, then you can throw it in the stash, and later in the game, when you respec or switch builds, it might become your go-to equipment. Mistake number 5. Failing to take advantage of all 4 weapon slots. This is one of the simplest ones but most overlooked features. You get 4 weapon loadouts in Tainted Grail, and if you're using only 1 or 2, then you're limiting yourself. Here's how I run mine. Slot 1 is for melee weapons, aka for general combat. Then slot number 2 has an alternative melee weapon, which is mainly for bosses or different damage types. Then slot 3 is empty, for safety while attacking to NPCs and just for general exploring. And lastly, we got the slot 4, which is for ranged weapon, usually a bow. That third empty slot might sound odd, but trust me, it saves lives literally. There have been many times that I've accidentally attacked friendly NPCs mid-conversation just because I bumped an attack button. That one slip can mess up an entire questline, or even turn peaceful zones hostile, so having an unarmed loadout for fast travel or just dialogue is a safety net. And then what about the bow? Well, it's absolutely essential. You'll encounter quests that involve chasing down deer or targeting distant enemies, and without the ranged weapon you will be screwed. So having the flexibility to switch between close and range combat will keep you prepared for any fight. Mistake number 6. Chasing rarity instead of focusing on the right stats. So here's the thing, Tainted Grail does not treat gear rarity the same way as other RPGs do. Just because an item is blue or rare, it does not mean that it's better than a grey one. What actually matters is how well it fits your build. If you are a spellcaster, assassin or archer, you will want to stay in the light to medium weight categories, so going heavy will cripple your stamina and movement speed. But on the other hand, if you are a strength based warrior like myself, then you can afford to go heavier, but you still want to avoid crossing into the super heavy zone, unless your build is designed for it. Also, don't waste attribute points just to wear a single piece of fancy armor. Instead, you want to level the attributes that your build depends on. And once you've got gold to spare, then you can use the grindstone to lower your gear weight slightly, but do it only on the endgame gear. There's no shame in using grey gear with a god tier stats. The smartest players don't care about the color, they actually care about synergy. Mistake number 7. Spreading the skill points across the trees without a clear plan. Each skill tree in the Tainted Grail is designed for a specific type of build, and trying to dip into everything is a recipe for mediocrity. So here's a quick overview of where to spend based on your build. So first, strength is for melee weapons, including two-handed swords and daggers. It also boosts assassin play. Then endurance is for health and durability. Every build should grab at least the plus 15% max HP, unless you're a pure mage. Then next we got dexterity, which is critical for bow users and fast attackers. It improves stamina, jaw speed and attack rate. Then also we have spirituality, which is mainly for mages. This one focuses on mana, spell damage and the staff efficiency. Then we got perception. It's ideal for sneaky builds who want to crit from stealth or use daggers efficiently. And lastly we got practicality, which is mostly for crafters and roleplayers. This is not recommended for combat focused builds. I personally would suggest you to not be afraid of respecing if you realized that you've got down the wrong path. But while leveling, actually stick to 1 or 2 trees max until your build is solid. And remember that you can respec by using the origin potion, which you can find at least 3 to 4 in your first 10 hours of playthrough. Mistake number 8. Skipping resources or thinking that you need to equip a gathering tool. So you actually don't. Tools like the pickaxe, shovel, axe and fishing rod only need to be in your inventory. Your character will automatically use the right tool when it's a near resource node, so there's no need to waste a weapon slot. Also, you should pick up almost every resource that you find, so berries, herbs, wood or an etc. Even if you're not crafting now, you will be later, and many potions and gear upgrades will require tons of materials, so don't overlook the shovel either. Some treasure chests and quest items are buried, and without it, you will miss out entirely or have to double back across the map. Mistake number 9. Looting every piece of gear from every enemy. It's tempting to loot every shield, helmet and the shield you see, but 90% of it is trash. Inventory weight will become a problem fast, and if you are overloaded, then your movement and the combat effectiveness will tank. Most enemy weapons will sell for barely 1 to 10 gold, so it's not worth the trip back to the shop. If you're not at your stash or base, then don't bother hoarding the trash gear. Instead, you want to prioritize materials, potions, food and valuable gear. And if you're testing builds, then there's only one reason to keep the backup gear. Otherwise, drop or sell anything that you will not use within the next hour. I personally prefer to travel light and play smart. And then for my last mistake, we have that you are thinking that your build is permanent. There are good news you can respec. Every character gets at least one origin potion at the start of their journey, and then you can find even more throughout the world. This will reset all of your skill trees and attribute points, letting you start fresh without starting a brand new game. You will get this potion when you arrive on the main island, so don't use it right away, put it in your stash, and only drink it when you've locked in a new build idea and you're ready to commit. If you want to switch from warrior to a mage or from ranger to assassin, this potion makes it possible. Just don't accidentally sell it or lose it in your inventory chaos. Treat it like a second chance and save it when it really counts. So let me know what you think about Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you definitely don't want to miss my previous video where I showed even more tips and beginner things that you should know. So click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.